Hello, my favorite people. Today, let's read on our story, The Wizard of Oz. To remind you, this is by L. Frank Baum. It is also a movie, right? Famous movie. Um, so far, we have met the main character, Dorothy, right? We met her in the first chapter. There was a cyclone or a tornado that picked up her house away from Aunt Em and Uncle Henry, took it to the land of Munchkins, right? That's where she met the Good Witch of the North. Wow, they don't ever say her name, do they? Huh. So in the movie, they call her Glenda, the Good Witch of the North. I don't think that they have ever, I don't remember them ever naming her in this chapter. That's something that's very different. Also, she killed the Wicked Witch of the, Dorothy killed the Wicked Witch of the West when her house fell on her, right? And the Wicked Witch of the West had special shoes. Do you know what color shoes they are in the story? Do you remember? So they were silver. Put your finger on your nose if that surprised you. Okay, so the first time I read this many years ago, I couldn't believe it. You put your hands down. I couldn't believe it because I had only ever seen the movie, and in the movie they are ruby slippers, right? They're red, right? They got all the sequins on it. They're really flashy, pretty cool looking, but they're not silver, and I don't know why they changed that. But that is something that's very different between the book and the movie. So the Good Witch told her that she should go to the City of Emeralds to visit the Wizard of Oz. And maybe he could help her get back to her home. And they had to show her that the path to the City of Emeralds is yellow, right? It is yellow. So let's read chapter 3, How Dorothy Saved the Scarecrow. When Dorothy left alone, she began to feel hungry. So she went to the cupboard and cut her some bread, which she spread with butter. She gave some to Toto, and taking a pail from a shelf, she carried it down to the little brook and filled it with clear, sparkling water. Remember yesterday we talked about a brook being like a tiny little stream or a creek, right? Definitely much smaller than a river. Dorothy went to get him. Oh, sorry. Toto ran over to the trees and began to bark at the birds sitting there. Dorothy went to get him and saw such delicious fruit hanging from the branches that she gathered some of it, finding it just what she wanted to help out her breakfast. So they don't say exactly what kind of fruits they are. I wonder, what kind of fruit would you like it to be? Would you like it to be apples? Peaches grow on trees. Oranges grow on trees. Grapefruits grow on trees. Pomegranates grow on trees. Plums, pears. I wonder what kind of fruit it is. I wonder if we'll find out. Then she went back to the house, and having helped herself and Toto to a good drink of the cool, clear water, she set about making ready for the journey to the City of Emeralds. Dorothy had only one other dress, but that happened to be clean and was hanging on a peg beside her bed. It was gingham with checks of white and blue. Yeah, so it's like a checkerboard, like you play checkers on, right? Checkerboard is red and black. Well, her dress is blue and white. And that pattern is called gingham, right? It's an old-fashioned pattern. It's just like a checkerboard. And although the blue was somewhat faded with many washings, it was still a pretty dress. The girl washed herself carefully, dressed herself in the clean gingham, and tied her pink sunbonnet on her head. She took a little basket and filled it with bread from the cupboard, laying a white cloth over the top. Then she looked down at her feet and noticed how old and worn her shoes were. "They surely will never do for a long journey, Toto," she said, And Toto looked up into her face with his little black eyes and wagged his tail to show he knew what she meant. At that moment, Dorothy saw, laying on the table, the silver shoes that had belonged to the Witch of the East. "I wonder if they will fit me," she said to Toto. "They would be just the thing to take a long walk in, for they could never wear out." She took off her old leather shoes and tried on the silver ones, which fitted her as well as if they had just been made for her. Finally, she picked up her basket. "Come along, Toto," she said. "We will go to the Emerald City and ask the Great Oz how to get back to Kansas again." She closed the door, locked it, and put the key carefully into the pocket of her dress. And so, with Toto trotting along behind her, she started on her journey. There were several roads nearby, but it did not take her long to find the one paved with yellow brick. Within a short time, she was walking briskly toward the Emerald City, her silver shoes tinkling merrily on the hard yellow road. Briskly, what do you think that means? Briskly means to walk very fast. Just to go, right? Very, very fast. Not running, but walking very fast with a purpose. Briskly. The sun shone bright and the birds sang sweetly, and Dorothy did not feel nearly as bad as you might think a little girl who had been suddenly whisked away from her own country and set down in the midst of a strange land. She was surprised as she walked along to see how pretty the country was about her. There were neat fences on the sides of the road, painted a dainty blue color, and beyond them were fields of grain and vegetables in abundance. Evidently, the Munchkins were good farmers and able to raise large crops. Once in a while, she would pass a house, and the people came out to look at her and bow low as she went by. For everyone knew she had been the means of destroying the Wicked Witch and setting them free from bondage. The houses of the Munchkins were odd-looking dwellings, for each was round with a big dome for a roof. Right? A dome is kind of like, it's round. It's kind of like if you cut a ball in half and set it on top of a square, right? That would be the dome. All were painted blue, for in this country of the East, blue was the favorite color. Towards evening, when Dorothy was tired with her long walk and began to wonder where she should pass the night, she came to a house rather larger than the rest. On the green lawn before it, many men and women were dancing. 5 little fiddlers played as loudly as possible, and the people were laughing and singing, while a big table nearby was loaded with delicious fruits and nuts, pies and cakes, and many other good things to eat. The people greeted Dorothy kindly and invited her to supper and to pass the night with them, for this was the home of one of the richest Munchkins in the land, and his friends were gathered with him to celebrate their freedom from the bondage of the Wicked Witch. Dorothy ate a hearty supper and was waited upon by the rich Munchkin himself, whose name was Boq. Then she sat upon a settee and watched the people dance. So a settee is kind of like a cushion that if you had a chair, you could put your feet up on, right? It's like an old-fashioned like poof, okay, like a settee. When Boq saw her silver shoes, he said, "You must be a great sorceress." "Why?" asked the girls. "Because you wear the silver shoes and have killed the Wicked Witch. Besides, you have white in your frock, and only witches and sorceresses wear white." "My dress is blue and white checked," said Dorothy, smoothing out the wrinkles in it. "It is kind of you to wear that," said Boq. "Blue is the color of the Munchkins, and white is the color of the witches. So we know you're a friendly witch." Dorothy didn't know what to say to this, for all the people seemed to think her a witch, and she knew very well she was only an ordinary little girl who had come by chance of a cyclone into a strange land. When she had tired watching the dancing, Bach led her into the house, where he gave her a room with a pretty bed in it. The sheets were made of blue cloth, and Dorothy slept soundly in them until morning, with Toto curled up on a blue rug beside her. She ate a hearty breakfast and watched a wee little Munchkin baby who played with Toto and pulled his tail and crowed and laughed in a way that greatly amused Dorothy. Toto was a fine curiosity to all the people, for they had never seen a dog before. What kind of place does not have dogs? How far is it to the Emerald City? The girl asked. I don't know, Bach answered gravely. For I have never been there. It is better for people to keep away from Oz unless they have business with him. But it is a long way to the Emerald City, and it will take you many, many days. The country there is rich and pleasant, but you must pass through rough, dangerous places before you reach the end of your journey. This worried Dorothy a little, but she knew that only the great Oz could help her get to Kansas again, so she bravely decided not to turn back. She said goodbye to her friends and again started along the road of yellow brick. When she had gone several miles, she thought she would stop to rest, and so climbed to the top of a fence beside the road and sat down. There was a great cornfield beyond the fence, and not far away she saw a scarecrow placed high on a pole to keep the birds from the ripe corn. Dorothy leaned her chin upon her hand and gazed thoughtfully at the scarecrow. Its head was a small sack stuffed with straw, with eyes and nose and mouth painted on to represent a face. An old painted blue hat that had belonged to some Munchkin was perched on its head, and the rest of the figure was a blue suit of clothes, worn and faded, which had also been stuffed with straw. On the feet were some old boots with blue tops, such as every man wore in this country, and the figure was raised above the stalks of the corn by means of a pole stuck on its back. While Dorothy was looking earnestly into this weird pointed face of the scarecrow, she was surprised to see one of its eyes slowly wink at her. She thought she must have been mistaken at first, for none of the scarecrows in Kansas ever wink. But presently, the figure nodded its head at her in a friendly way. Then she climbed down from the fence and walked up to it, while Toto ran around the pole and barked. "Good day," said the scarecrow in a rather husky voice. "Did you speak?" asked the girl in wonder. "Certainly," answered the scarecrow. "How do you do?" "I'm pretty well, thank you," replied Dorothy politely. "How do you do?" "I'm not feeling well," said the scarecrow with a smile, "for it is very tedious being perched up here at night and day to scare away crows." "Can't you get down?" asked Dorothy. "No, for this pole is stuck up my back. If you will please take away the pole, I shall be greatly obliged to you." That means thankful. He will be very thankful. Dorothy reached up with both arms and lifted the figure off the pole, for being stuffed with straw, it was quite light. "Thank you very much," said the scarecrow when he had been set down on the ground. "I feel like a new man." Dorothy was puzzled at this, for it sounded weird to hear a stuffed man speak and to see him bow and walk along beside her. "Who are you?" asked the scarecrow when he had stretched himself and yawned. "And where are you going?" "My name is Dorothy," said the girl, "and I am going to the Emerald City to ask the great Oz to send me back to Kansas." "Where is the Emerald City?" he inquired. "And who is Oz?" Why, don't you know? She returned in surprise. No, indeed, I don't know anything. You see, I'm stuffed, so I have no brains at all, he answered sadly. Oh, said Dorothy, I'm awfully sorry for you. Do you think, he asked, if I go to the Emerald City with you, that Oz could give me some brains? I cannot tell, she returned, but you may come with me if you like. If Oz will not give you any brains, you will be no worse off than you are now. That is true, said the Scarecrow. You see, he continued confidently, I don't mind my legs and arms and body being stuffed, because I can't get hurt. If anyone treads on my toes or sticks a pin in me, it doesn't matter, for I can't feel it. But I do not want people to call me a fool. And if my head is stuffed with straw instead of brains, as yours is, how am I ever going to know anything? I understand how you feel, said the little girl, who was truly sorry for him. If you come with me, I'll ask the Oz to do all he can for you. Thank you, he answered gratefully. They walked back to the road. Dorothy helped him over the fence, and they started along the path of yellow brick for the Emerald City. Toto did not like the addition to the party at first. He smelled around the stuffed man as if he suspected there might be a nest of rats in the straw, and he often growled in an unfriendly way at the Scarecrow. Don't mind Toto, said Dorothy to her new friend. He never bites. Oh, I'm not afraid, replied the Scarecrow. He can't hurt straw. Do let me carry the basket for you. I shall not mind it, for I can't get tired. I'll tell you a secret, he continued as he walked along. There is only one thing in the world I am afraid of. What is that? Asked Dorothy. The Munchkin farmer who made you? What do you think? What do you think a scarecrow would be scared of? A scarecrow who is stuffed. What do you think he could be scared of? It says, no, answered the Scarecrow. It's a lighted match. So he's afraid of a lit match. Why do you think that is? Probably because he would catch fire, right? Straw catches on fire easily. So that's the end of chapter 3. You will notice that this book has no songs in it. There are no songs in this book, which is really hard for me because I want to sing Follow the Yellow Brick Road. Do you know that song? Follow the yellow brick road, follow the yellow brick road, follow, 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 follow the yellow brick road. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Witch, oh witch, the wicked witch. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead. Oh, Dorothy and the Scarecrow and everybody sing We're Off to See the Wizard, right? We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. So when I'm reading those parts, that's what's going through my head as well, are the songs that go along with this from the movie. The movie had a big impact on my life, I guess. So what do you think? What else is different about this book so far compared to the movie? Think about it. Drop me a class comment in Google Classroom. Let me know what you think. And until next time, don't forget to be awesome.